Ever picked up, one of those really dense historical texts, something specialized, maybe a bit obscure, and just wished you could like pull out the key info without wading through it all?
Absolutely. It can be daunting.
Well, that's exactly what we're aiming for today on the deep dive.
Yeah, today we're cracking open a specific section from William Boericke's Homeopathic Materia Medica. We're looking at Ammonium Phosphoricum, phosphate of ammonia.
Right. And this book, it's basically a kind of historical index, wouldn't you say, from a particular medical tradition.
Exactly. It lists remedies and, well, their supposed effects or indications as described back then.
So our mission today is pretty straightforward. Guide you through this one entry. Pull out the most, let's say, important bits, maybe some surprising details.
Strictly from the source, yeah.
Yeah.
Think of it as your shortcut to understanding what Boericke wrote about this substance.
Okay, let's get into it. What's the main picture Boericke paints for ammonium phosphoricum? Who is it supposedly for?
He really centers it quite clearly. It's primarily for patients described as having chronic gout.
Gout.
Or what the text calls a uric acid diathesis, which is basically, a predisposition related to excess uric acid, historically linked heavily to gout.
Got it. So the foundation is this gouty or uric acid kind of background. But the interesting part is how the text says this tendency actually shows up.
That's where it gets really specific. Boericke includes some very detailed descriptions. One of the most striking is about the joints.
Joints, okay. What about them?
He notes the presence of nodosities. That's the word used. These sort of hard lumps or swellings.
Nodosities, like nodes.
Yeah, exactly. Specifically mentioned on the joints of the fingers and also the backs of the hands. And there's mention of shoulder joint pain too.
Huh. But those finger nodosities, that's a really concrete image.
It really is. Sticks in your mind.
And it's not just the joints, right? The text links it to breathing issues too.
It does, yes. Indications for bronchitis are mentioned, describing a deep, rough cough. And here's another specific detail. It comes with a greenish expectoration.
Greenish mucus, basically.
Precisely. Again, it's that specific color detail that jumps out from the source description.
Wow. They must have been observing things incredibly closely to note greenish. What about, say, head symptoms?
Here's another really unique one from the source. It describes sneezing. Lots of it.
Okay, sneezing.
With excessive running from the nose and eyes. But here's the kicker. Only in the morning.
Only in the morning.
Not all day. That's what the text specifies. Just the morning. That time specificity is. Well, it's pretty curious, isn't it?
It really is. Morning only sneezing. Makes you wonder about the observation process. Wasn't there something about urine as well?
Yes, absolutely. The text mentions a rose-colored sediment in the urine.
Rose-colored, another very precise visual.
Exactly. Another specific characteristic Boericke highlighted in this particular source material.
It does feel like looking at a snapshot of how they documented patient signs back then. Are there other things grouped under this remedy picture in the text?
Yeah, a few others. Beyond those main areas, the source also lists things like facial paralysis,
Okay.
a feeling of tightness around the chest, heaviness in the limbs, even an unsteady sort of tottering gait.
So difficulty walking steadily.
Right. And it also notes a sensitivity to cold, feeling cold from even the slightest draft of air. All these are linked in this source back to that same gouty or uric acid framework.
And did the source mention how it was supposed to be used? Like dosage?
It did. It gives that practical detail. The third decimal trituration, which refers to a specific preparation method within that homeopathic tradition.
Right, the third decimal trituration.
So when you step back and look at all these things together, finger nodules, a greenish cough, sneezing but only in the morning, rose-colored urine sediment.
Yeah.
All linked under one remedy, supposedly for people with uric acid issues. It really shows you the unique way these old texts connected symptoms based on observation. Very detailed observation.
So to recap, based purely on Boericke's text, ammonium phosphoricum is presented mainly for chronic gout or uric acid types. And they might show these really distinct signs like those finger nodosities we talked about, or the specific morning sneezing, or that interesting rose-colored urine sediment.
Exactly. Which leads us to maybe a final thought for you, the listener.
Come on.
How did the practitioners using text like Boericke's actually draw these connections between such, diverse and specific symptoms? What kind of thinking, what observational framework let them link, say, a finger swelling to a specific urine color?
Or to sneezing only at a certain time of day.
Right. What does that level of really detailed but maybe differently categorized observation tell you about how people understood the body and illness historically? What other questions does it spark?